it. Ooh, I like the ending right there.
All right, I do
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I like it.
How are you, my friend?
I'm grateful. How are you doing?
Same,
Yeah,
same. It's a little
been having
sunshiny and cold here in Atlanta today, but I am
yes,
grateful to be with you and excited about our guests today and
yeah.
just really looking forward to this show and this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to jumping in and talking about joy. I was thinking about you when how we were talking about everyday joy today and what do I do to keep joy in the days that are easy, the days that are difficult. And so I went out to the water and watched the sunrise above Atlantic
Mm,
City, across the water and just be in the cold, let the windows down and let the heat out so I could hear the water. And it was worth it. So I hear what you're saying on that cold, sunny day.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
just standing in the sunshine and saying hello this morning, taking the dog out. Sometimes I like it and sometimes I But it also just cracks me up, like,
Mhm,
Monty, for those of y'all that are listening for the first time to Women
mhm.
Connecting Wisdom, Monty is my puppers that is half Scotty, half Corgi, and 100% stubborn. My rescue puppy that when it's cold or wet, there is, a little nudging that needs to happen to get him to go outside.
Okay, maybe he needs to get in the cart. Just take a ride in the cart, get out for a little bit, back in the cart. What
Right?
do you think?
I think whatever works, whatever works. All right, friend, how about we do
Okay.
our official intro and kick this off so we can
Yeah,
get our
let's do
guest
it.
up here today?
Absolutely. Hey, y'all. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur and Amazon bestselling publisher, author, and all-natural product manufacturer. I'm a champion for your natural self-care, sustainable business care, and overall intentional wellness. Mhm.
Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, best selling author and publisher, and dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Together, we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and the co founders of the Women Connected in Wisdom community.
And we get together every week with special guests for intentional conversations about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness. How do we
Mhm.
do this?
So important. So important.
Right?
Um, we talked about bringing our guest on, and I know recently our intros have been a little longer. I kind of want this one to be a little shorter. How are you feeling today?
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
it. Today, we are talking about intellectual wellness.
Mhm.
And intellectual wellness includes having access to different sources of information and developing critical thinking and timely decision making skills. Also, continual learning through intentional intellectual growth, situations, and artistic creativity. You know what? As I'm reading this, I'm like, we're not intentional wellness today.
Are we not intellectual wellness today?
I don't think so. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"That's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pause.
Occupational wellness.
We are occupational wellness."
We are occupational wellness. Let's
That's
see.
the fun thing about having I got it right here.
Okay.
It's what I noticed as I was reading. I'm like, I've got both of them in here, and
Mm,
last week's show was intellectual. So, rewind, here we
good
go.
job.
Occupational wellness represents living in the purpose, passion, and productivity in one's chosen profession. This includes work-life balance as a fulfilling and productive professional life is fitting to weave together with a healthy personal life. There we go. That's what we're talking
Yes.
about today.
Now,
Occupational wellness and burnout and how to avoid it and
mm,
looking for everyday joy with
yeah.
our special guest, Jenny Elinora.
Let's talk about some joy real quick and give my business partner a shout out. Good job on catching that. You did it. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's important. And when we talk about occupational wellness, like the living in your purpose is what stood out for me in that definition this week.
Mhm.
And it could be frustrating when you're trying to live in your purpose, you feel like you're aligned, and here comes a mistake. And you thought you were
Right.
set, but that's gonna happen. We gotta have grace for ourselves. And what were you gonna say?
Well, as an interplay leader, I've
Mhm.
been a certified interplay leader for over 10 years now, and
Yeah.
we are about easy focus. And
Mhm.
also in our leader training manual, when we're
Mhm.
training folks, we say make mistakes so other
Yeah.
people feel comfortable making mistakes. Because the
Yeah.
reality is everybody makes mistakes. We're just a
Mhm.
highly edited society now, especially in the
Mhm.
United States. And that's the thing about being live, right?
Yeah.
Is if you make a mistake live, it's there. It's
Right.
okay. Just keep on rolling. And I just finished a 4-day lead national and international leaders gathering for inner players and body wisdom, and
Nice.
it just when you're on that much,
Mhm.
they happen. And I
Mhm.
think, and when I say that, when you're on, I think especially as women, we're often always on, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's caregiving or running businesses or our work or our
Mhm.
communities,
Mhm.
and being able to be gentle with ourselves and have joy and laugh and keep going, I think is really important. And
Yes.
being able to say, you know what, whoops, made a mistake, here we
Right.
go.
Yep. Yep. And I say, "Oh, sometimes I need 8 eyes. I didn't see it well enough. These 4, I need twice as much." And just, like you're doing, like, take the opportunity to laugh and not take yourself too serious. It helps me so much.
Right. How
Yeah.
about we read our guest bio and get her up on the stage? Because I am excited to have this convo today.
Oh, we are on the same page. Okay, y'all. Today we're talking to Jenny let me say this right. El Eleanor Eleanor. Today we're talking to Jenny Elinora. She is a creatively empowered coach dedicated to helping women over 50 rediscover their voices and live their creative dreams. With decades of performance experience and deep understanding of how trauma impacts creativity, Jenny's mission is to inspire women to boldly reclaim their creative power. Her own journey reflects the challenges and triumphs of the women she helps. Silenced by early criticism and life's traumas, Jenny didn't find her voice until age 33 and only released her first solo project at 50. Along the way, she's written, performed, recorded, and produced 30 plus original songs and earned recognition such as Vermont's Tammy Award for Best Rock Album. Through her holistic approach, somatic practices, sound healing, community support, and creative coaching, Jenny has helped 100 plus women overcome self doubt, imposter syndrome, and creative stagnation to help them reconnect with their authentic self and share their brilliance with the world. Welcome to the
Welcome to Women
stage, Jenny.
Connected in Wisdom, Jenny.
Hi. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Of course.
I love your bio so much for so many reasons. But the first question that rises up when I heard it and read it was,
Mhm.
what was your first solo project?
Was there
Mm.
for solo project? It was a music and visual art kind of project, online imagery and stuff. It still exists as a interactive art site, I call it. And yeah, with my
Mhm.
music and it was the first solo music I had been able to produce myself and perform myself, and yeah, it was my whole voice, what I call my whole voice coming out at the age of 50 for the
Mm.
first time in its wholeness.
Oh,
Mm.
I love that so
Yeah.
much.
What was
Thank
that like for you?
Oh, it was so um it felt like freedom. It still
Mm.
feels like freedom when I listen to the songs and I use them in my workshops and everything too sometimes. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, it feels like fulfillment and reality, right? The songs, my I guess my songwriting style is one of allowing complexity, which I think
Mm.
is a balancing thing for the world right now. Like, I guess, as you guys were also pointing out, we're a highly edited society.
Right.
So yes, allowing complexity, allowing things to be messy and not perfect, is that felt like being able to express myself in that way was just amazing.
Mm,
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to I didn't check out your music ahead of time, and I can't wait to check it out because
yeah.
I'm always looking for good music,
Yeah.
especially for workshops and introducing
Mhm.
new people to new music and
Yeah.
things for their own creative purpose. I love that.
Mhm.
Thank
I've still
you.
been on the last, playlist that you shared with me, Christine. It's been
Okay.
really good. So I'm excited to listen, Jenny, especially being an award winner is amazing. What was that experience like for you in Vermont?
Yeah. Well, the award was not for my solo project, actually. I put the solo project out after the award had happened. The award was for a collaboration project,
Mm,
before that, and, with David Rosane and the Zookeepers is the name of the band, and that was fun. It was, Vermont's a small pond.
mm,
So yeah, but it was beautiful because that was my first album that I got a hand in co-producing as well, and
mm.
as far as music goes, I love the songwriting and I love the performing and the actual singing vibration as well, and
Right.
performing on instruments, but producing, getting to like weave all the layers together is my
Yes.
absolute favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it's fun. I've
Yeah.
had an opportunity to play with the system. Did you use Pro Tools? What system did you use?
We did it with a sound engineer, and I cannot
Okay.
remember. I think it might have been Pro Tools he was using.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what we use for the audiobook and everything and, through our audio team, so I know what you mean, and the variables, the complexity,
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
That's beautiful. So sometimes this can be a lot for people, right? To find your voice at 33, to release your first solo project at 50. When you are in that space, what did you do to hold on to the joy? How do you help your clients with that?
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a big question. Yeah.
Yes.
So by the time I got to the place, when I was 33 was when I kind of
Mhm.
started teaching locally,
Okay.
coaching people in voice and performance. I did
Okay.
that for until I was about 50. And I noticed throughout that time that a couple of people every year were having like these uh, creative expansions, like
Mhm.
beyond what they came to me for. So that's sort of
Mhm.
what led me to what I'm doing now. Um, th- Through that as well. It's sort of like, it
Yes.
rolls on itself,
Yes, it
right?
does.
Feedback loop thing. That is then the energies from that was allowing me to fulfill my own first solo project. And as far as joy goes within that, uh, if that speaks to something that I'll probably bring back a few times today, the idea that we need to choose joy, that it's
Mhm.
an act, sort of like sometimes people describe love in this way as well.
Mhm.
It's something we need to choose. It is an
Right.
emotion, but the emotion itself is a different thing that people define in different ways, each for
Mm.
our own unique preferences and systems, right?
Right.
The choice of it is
Mhm.
something that we can all make as human beings, and we can all share mechanisms for how to do that, and that we can even systematize, as I have in my everyday joy system, which
Mm.
grew out of my own experiences and then working with clients as well on what are the kinds of things every day that we can
Yes.
do, what kind of actions can we take upon our lives in order to be telling that story of choosing joy, which then raises the baseline, what I call the baseline line of our joy, which helps us to gain clarity, gain
Mhm.
energy, and
Mm.
gain resilience for facing any challenges in our lives and for fulfilling all our dreams.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I
thanks.
was thinking about checklists and morning routines and afternoon routines this morning,
Mhm,
or yeah, earlier this morning. So when you say the daily things you do to raise your baseline, can
mhm.
you share with us some of those things that are outside of what we normally talk about, like gratitude, journaling, or grounding ourselves in the earth?
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest element that we don't normally talk about, because like you said, we do talk about, rest and meditation and gratitude. There
Yeah.
are a lot of things we're talking about, and they are wonderful pieces of the puzzle of joy. Play, and play is one of them that we don't often talk about, and
Yes.
creativity itself. Like, I think we are starting to talk about that in the entrepreneur world, with
Mhm.
women especially, but there's still sometimes a narrow definition that we have, or
Mm.
default definition that we're having of creativity.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. The I suggest that we expand the definition of creativity to
Mm,
include literally anything that sparks us, anything that makes us sparkle, that we have a passion for. We can use our creative energies for. For example, um, spreadsheets, like we were talking about
mhm,
the producing the music, right? One of my
right.
favorite things to create, and I was
Mhm,
literally creating them for this as we were doing this creative process of making an album, I was
yeah,
creating spreadsheets in order to organize that, right? That's a form of thing, as a form of creativity that we don't often think of as creativity.
right.
And yeah, and I was playing with it too. So yeah, play and creativity energies are, they overlap and everything too, but they're both
Yes.
beautiful things to add to this equation.
Yes. Christine, I saw that you had something to say. What did you wanna add?
Well, I was just thinking about play,
Yes.
right? I had
Mhm.
done an article over on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago about
Yeah.
play and why it's important for adults, especially.
Mhm.
And a person that I've been connected to for years that we met at a retreat years ago, she's like, I've always followed your work. And I've thought, oh, that's not important. Or, oh, that's frou frou. Or like, I mean, she said it gentler than that, but
But
basically
that's what she
she's saying,
was.
right? Like,
Yeah.
let me get back to the serious stuff, right? And
Mm,
then she said, reading the article, she really had the awareness of
mhm,
how that she really was taught that play was not okay.
mm,
And that a lot of adults, I feel like, have that and feel like that we've got
mhm.
to work hard and it's got to be drudgery or it's not worth it, or
Mhm.
and I I mean, I've experienced myself with people because Jenny, I always say I get paid to play.
Mhm.
And I wrote that in my journal for years. I get
Mhm.
paid to play. And I really do now. Like I get paid to play.
Nice.
And when I say that, it's very interesting because some people get it and they're excited for me, and some people are like, "Well, isn't that nice?"
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me take a sip of coffee. Hold on. Imma mind my
Right?
business.
Yeah. They haven't yet realized how essential it is to all of us and
Yeah.
to just
Right?
living a life that feels more meaningful and fulfilling
Can you
Right, and
in the face of any
sustainable.
challenge. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and sustainable in
Yeah.
the face of any challenge, because,
yeah.
you know, right now getting out of bed is a big deal for a lot of
Mhm.
people, right? And facing the day and facing what is going on in not only our personal lives, but in the bigger world and the bigger picture. And so I think having tools and techniques and coaches like yourself who like teach us how to access that joy, that deep well of joy, and keep refilling it
Mhm.
so we can keep going,
Mhm.
right?
Yep. Yep. I mean, I need it myself, like
Oh,
I
Yes.
just wrote an article on LinkedIn about being both the cobbler and the cobbler's kid who doesn't have any shoes, right? Like that's the thing.
Mm.
I just read an article about that on both, and so yeah, like we all do need this.
Can you
right.
say more about that? Do you mean that you're coming from a place of, "I don't have shoes," and so you ended up being the cobbler that made the shoes?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it still is part of the loop. I am
Mm.
the cobbler as well now, but there, of course, I still, I don't have it all figured out completely, and none of
Right.
us probably
Right.
ever will, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the programming that I create is for me too. I got it's
Yes.
not it's more than
I'm
just
with you.
practicing what I preach. It's like
Yes.
I need it. So
Yes.
yeah,
Mm.
Well, don't you also find it a testing ground, Jenny? Because, like, when we create it and we teach it, if it feels good in our body, then hopefully it's going to feel good in somebody else's body. Or,
right.
we want to create. I like creating things that bring me joy.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
I was at a storytelling event this weekend in Asheville, North Carolina. There was an inaugural event about dying on stage. It was 12 storytellers telling stories about death and dying because it was associated with the Light, which is the creative center oh, I'm going to get that wrong, Conscious Center for Living and Dying in Asheville, North Carolina. It's an incredible organization. And one of our founders of Interplay Asheville had actually been a big volunteer there. And when she started having health issues, she chose to go through their program towards the end of her life. So it was really it was an honor to be asked to tell a story, and it was an honor to be in that room. And I had friends in the audience, and afterwards I was like, tell me what you thought. Tell me, because I'm usually an improver. So I was asked to have this story memorized. It was more like a TED talk. I was like, and I wasn't nervous about telling the story. I was nervous about adding things and it going way too, like,
Yeah,
because I know
yeah,
myself.
I relate.
And so when we were over, Dr. Cynthia Phelps, she's one of our Women Connecting Wisdom, was like, oh my gosh, yours was the best story. I'm like, you don't have to say that because you know me. And she goes, no, really, like you brought so much joy and humor, and we were going down as an audience. Like all the stories were impactful and they were powerful, but we were going down and you came on with humor,
Mhm.
and we needed to laugh, and and it was still a story about my Aunt Joan dying, which folks who have listened to us for years know about Aunt Joan. And but it was the humor of how did this happen and what happened, and some of the conversations, and it just made me realize, like, even with tough subjects,
Yes,
and I think I
especially,
would say especially
especially,
right with tough subjects,
yeah.
that to bring in joy and play and be able to have laughter
Mhm.
and joy, I think is just crucial.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. It's good stuff.
Yes.
Thanks.
Jenny, can you talk more about the importance of play? And we were talking, what came up earlier when Christine was talking was work hard, play hard, right? And how that reaction people get to the play hard. Can you tell us why it's so important to do both?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the fact that that's a phrase that makes them seem like they need to be separate
Mhm, mhm.
is a interesting one. And then, of course, there's the sub phrase of that, which is, you work comes before play, or work
Mm,
comes, or play comes after work.
break it
Um,
down.
yeah, um,
Mhm.
there the most fulfilling kind of work and the most fulfilling kind of play is both at the same time. Have them woven together. It's
Mhm,
not, that's a little idealistic to
mhm.
say that that's always possible, because it's not always possible. They are kind of different energies, um, and there's no separation. There's no need to separate them at all.
So I love the play in work. I want to have fun when I'm working, right? Enjoy my time, enjoy my life, enjoy my purpose. What I don't like is the work in the play. So can you say more about that? Because I think I'm missing part of what you're saying.
Yeah. So there are ways to, again, raise that baseline, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Where we weave in play energies and elements into the work.
Yes,
Yeah. So for example, let me get to an example here, although I don't have one right at the top of my head. But
no problem.
um to let me think of, oh, okay, here's one. And this relates to an exercise that I do every single day, and that my clients
Okay.
do every single day. We do at least 3 microdoses of play for five
Nice.
minutes, 5 minutes or less every day, right?
Okay.
And we might set an alarm to do it. It might be on our checklists, whatever way to remind ourselves to do them, we do them. And if I'm working, right,
Mhm.
and I am my alarm goes off, or it's time to do a microdose of play or something like that, one of the things that I will add in, whether I'm having an actual victory at that moment or not, is
Mm,
something that one of my clients came up with called a tiny victory parade. So
mm. I
literally,
like it.
literally, I just get up and march around and pat myself on the back, and I'm like, I am victorious today. Like,
Yes.
even frankly, even if I don't feel victorious, doing that is telling myself, my subconscious, the story that I am. Ultimately, I am victorious. Here I
Yes.
am. I'm alive. I'm doing the work I want, and
Yes.
it's it's so that is just one tiny example. There's so many, and
I
they
love
all
that.
would depend on, your individual preference, your individual preference, your individual preferences
Yeah.
on what exactly you might want to weave into what moments of your work.
Mm.
Mm. I am a huge fan of dance breaks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am a huge fan of popping on music and dancing it.
Yeah.
And, um, I think it's an African proverb that says hard times require furious dancing.
Yeah.
So depending on the music, like what I'm working on, like especially if it's something tough or administrative, which is really thinky, I'll
Right.
stop and put on some drumming or some, and dance and shake and to me, that's play,
Yeah.
right? So I
Mhm.
was going to ask you that, Jenny, about what you do. What do you define as play?
Well, you hit on it right there when you said that's for you, right? That's what you like. It everybody gets to define it for themselves. There are elements or aspects of play that Stuart Brown of the National Institute of Play, calls play things like it often can take us out of our sense of time. It feels more about the process rather than results. There's a few things about that, but really it's more about what you feel like inside.
Mm.
Both of you, there are a lot of themes. There are a few big themes, though, I'd say, in my anecdotal research on all this stuff. And dance breaks are one huge one. The other two big ones you also both of you mentioned in the intro to this whole podcast episode today.
Wow.
One of you mentioned nature. I think it
Mhm.
was you, Shannon, who
It
said
was.
outside. You're in Atlantic City, I think you said. You're
Yes.
outside and we're
Yes.
communing with nature
I
there.
was.
And
Yes.
then Christine, was it you who mentioned a dog? So
My
yes,
tea.
animals and
Mhm.
pets. These are three, the I'd say, as again, my anecdotal research, the three biggest um themes that a lot of people often can connect with, because within each of those elements too, there's a lot of like details and complexities. Like you, Shannon, might have been going outside and maybe it was a very visual experience for you, but other people, and or maybe it was very, maybe you felt the air on you. I don't remember the
Yes,
details right
I
now.
did.
Okay, so other people might hear the sounds and things like
Yes.
that. So, yeah, and some people might have really like a whole body experience with it. So,
I love that. What's fun for you?
yeah,
And, like and even the people in your community asking them, because we might be at the water, and I think you're looking at the sun coming up, and you're looking at something else,
yeah,
so I
beautiful.
like how, even having that conversation can expand it, how you were saying earlier.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
So I know that you have a giveaway for our guests, right? We have this quiz. Before we talk about how they can get connected to you, the quizzes they can take, and what they're going to find, can you talk about creative burnout? What does that even mean? What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately for me, it's as far as burnout goes, it's just creative burnout is just what I call burnout.
Mhm. Right. That makes sense.
When most of us are using the term burnout, it's usually has a creative um, lack of creative outlets, lack of creative engagement foundation to it, or core
Mm,
reasons behind it.
mhm,
And I also say that in contrast to creative joy,
mhm.
like I was saying before, is sort of something that we choose, right? We
Right.
are humans. All humans are creative. We're literally creating our lives as we go. We've given a few examples of that already here today. There's nothing about our lives that we're not creating in any single moment. So once we accept and believe and champion the fact that we are all creative beings, then that's kind of why I add the phrase creative burnout and creative joy. So as far as burnout goes, it's we're not feeling, some people are very aware that there's a specific dream that they're not fulfilling. I'd say
Mhm.
about half the people who come to me, it's like that. They're very aware of a very specific dream that they want to fulfill and it's not happening, or
Right.
passion or goal. And then
Mm,
the other half of people come to me with a more nebulous kind
mhm,
of feeling, right? Like something just doesn't feel right. And I I almost always, when talking to people and really listening to what's down in there, it's a creative problem in their soul at heart, and that they're not able to express themselves wholly. They're not able to feel connected to what their own soul is wanting to fulfill within the world, their own purpose,
Mhm.
what they want to create in the world. So they're experiencing burnout,
Right.
exhaustion, all the all the things that go along with that.
I would love to go into it before we back to the joy because I want us to stay on the positive side of it, but I would love to go into it again for the verbiage for our listeners who might not know they might be in the nebulous group of people. How would you describe it?
Say that again because you were breaking up just a little in the middle there.
No problem.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So the burnout, when you were talking about um, the specifics of what it looks like for the people who are listening who might consider themselves in the nebulous group, can
right.
you go into what that looks like before we go back to the joy?
Yes, yes, I can. So feeling disconnected from yourself and from others, and often that goes along with kind of numbing out behaviors, like doom scrolling or binge watching, things like that. That's one of the big ones I call that of something that I call a creative betrayal to ourselves. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and one of the other signs. Oh, there's three main ones, and I want to. I haven't nobody's asked me that in a while, so
no worries.
it's not coming to my mind very quickly.
That's okay.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
so when you say creative betrayals,
Mm,
and I see you, Christine, what I think about, let's say I binge watch a series. There's 8 episodes. It's like the new movie. Instead of 2 hours, it's 8 episodes, right? So it's 8 episodes. Are you saying that is creative betrayal when you are investing 8 hours into this other group of people and their completed creative project and yours is still sitting on the table? Is that what you mean, or are you referring to something different?
if you're feeling that way about your own things sitting on the table, right? If you're
Mhm,
feeling some kind of way about that, like,
mhm,
if you're not thrilled with that fact, then
mm,
yeah, then it is. Because even say you took even half of those hours and
mhm,
uh, did some action towards, like that gave you joy, whatever those actions were, whether it's towards the project or not. Because frankly, I feel like once we get aligned and clear in with our joy, once we get aligned with those energies, the projects just kind of fulfill themselves. So,
mm,
and yeah, and then watching for 8 hours one day might not necessarily be a betrayal at that moment because we're fulfilling our projects, or we're fulfilling our dreams
right.
in the other time that we have. So
I
yeah,
hear you.
it's every person has to decide that for themselves. And in
Mm,
fact, it's kind of like I feel like if we're not radically allowing ourselves to feel that imbalance or balance within ourselves, then we are at risk of shaming ourselves and being beholden to the stuff of shame that comes at us as well.
mhm,
So,
mhm. I hear what you're saying. Thank
mhm,
you for that.
I love those words, creative betrayal.
mhm,
Like, I don't do it often, but when I do it, I know it and I didn't have words for it. And
mhm.
whoo, so true.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so true. Like you just went, I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay. She just,
I did just I did just find the other couple of things.
Yes.
So another other signs of creative betrayal or
Mhm,
creative suppression is another way I'll put it sometimes,
mm,
is that we might play only for transactional reasons.
mm,
That like
mm,
only when we're on vacation or only during a family event or something like that.
mm,
The way I think I said this before too, the way we express ourselves in the world might feel really inauthentic or stifled. And also I feel like being out of balance in any area of that is a stress factor, like time or money or relationships, can often be tracked or traced back to that root of creative of our creativity, and not allowing its full freedom to flourish.
mhm.
Mhm.
so being out of balance with time, relationships, or money
Yeah, there's
could be an
often
indicator.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking
often.
that through. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so interesting, this whole conversation. What bubbles up for me, Jenny, is because I do get paid to play, and play is my work,
Mhm.
which
I
we
relate.
found in our organization, like we have to check ourselves and make sure we're still playing.
Yeah.
Because if we're not doing our practices and if we're not playing while doing the work of play, we are just as susceptible to burnout as
Yes.
anybody else. And
Yeah.
it's such an interesting thing. You're like, but wait, you
Mhm.
literally, this is what, but there's always the quote unquote work, right? There's always the taxes, there's always the paperwork and the
The
setting up of
emails.
events and the emails and the people. Like we
Uh,
love our people, but people, or like we said this week, life be life, and like we have
yeah.
things that are going on.
Yes.
So I really am enjoying this conversation. And what I have a curiosity about is, how can women especially, but anybody that's listening, because we have guys and non-binary folks that listen too, how can we identify when we're on that road to burnout? Like I've been there before and I caught it afterwards, but I didn't catch it ahead of time. So
Mhm.
how can our listeners, like, what are some things to be paying attention to?
Yeah. Well, later we'll mention the quiz that I'm going to give you. That's one way to look at that, to put a frame on it. Yeah, in general, we're paying attention to our bodies. I think that's I mean, it's in one way, it's one of the most challenging things to do, because throughout our lives we've been like encouraged to separate from our bodies, and had various traumas and everything like that, that also has enacted that kind of situation. um, and asking that and learning how to listen to our own bodies, that's probably the biggest single thing that we can do, um, in order to know when we're experiencing burnout, to know when we are, uh, to know what energies we need to bring into our lives, and consciously and intentionally, in order to bypass that burnout. Yeah, it's the answers are within our body. And again, like I said, that's a tall order. This is why there's so many coaches and people helping each other out there on this stuff, because we all need
Yes.
help with it. So
Yes. Yes. Can you
Right, and
speak to?
guides. Go ahead, Shannon.
Well, what were you saying, Christine?
I was just saying, coaches and guides. I think about often coaching on this is that we have the wisdom within our bodies. Sometimes we just need somebody else to reflect it back to us. We need somebody else to say, "I heard you say," or
yeah,
what I'm witnessing is, and that we have the tools and things we need. It's just often we're so busy, or we're not seeing it, or taking a moment to notice and breathe with it. So.
yeah, and the best coaches do understand that it's a co-creation. Like, it's not, yeah,
Absolutely.
there's no hierarchy going on with a really healthy coaching situation. So,
So true.
No. And my question that I was going to ask is, if somebody, it always interests me because the conversations that I thought I was going to have with Shea Glow, my shea butter company, I thought it was going to be lotion or cocoa butter versus shea butter, and me introducing people to shea butter, right? But
mhm,
what it really is the conversation of the importance of taking care of yourself, understanding how connected somebody is to their body. So, how would you suggest people who are disconnected, how do you walk them through getting back connected and into the joy?
right. We start very tiny. We start so tiny.
Nice.
And I think that my experience so far, I just
Mhm.
started experimenting with this like a year ago, but my
Okay.
experience so far, the quickest way I've found so far, is the microdoses of play 3 times a day.
Mhm.
And that involves making a list, right, of the kinds of things that take you 5 minutes or less that then you
Mhm.
can, look at a moment's notice and be like, "Okay, I'm gonna do that right now." And
Mhm.
it can do it at almost any time, right? It doesn't require, like, lots of materials or going somewhere else. It's things you
Right.
can do right in the moment that you're in any moment that you're at.
Mm.
Yeah, and that is a foundation on which to build momentum for this for joy overall and for building clarity and energy and stuff into our lives. That is that you asked where to start, right? I'm trying to remember
Yes.
the
Yep.
original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to getting back in your body, yes.
that's where I would start. It's very, very tiny
Mhm.
because, yeah, you don't need to make, fortunately, with energies of play and joy, you don't need to make a big overhaul to your life.
Right.
You can habit stack it. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard those
Oh,
phrases. I
yeah.
used to
Yes.
have
Yep.
We talk
something
about habit stacking. Yep.
Yeah, we
my
do.
favorite habit stack of one that I do, like, every time I'm in the shower, I do microdose of play by
Nice.
gargling with the water and humming at the same time, right? Like, it's I'm showering anyway, I might as well do some play, right? It
Nice.
doesn't take
I
any extra time.
love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Jenny, we have a form we do in Interplay called I Could Talk About,
Mhm.
where you just say what you could talk about, but you don't tell the whole story. It's like the subject of the email, but not the whole email. So if y'all would play for, let's do a microdose of play right now, and let's talk about the ways that we could play, like because that
Mm.
each of us
That's good.
play, right?
Hey.
So I could talk about putting on my favorite bop and dancing around the room like full out.
Mm. Jenny, you're next.
I could talk about the sun on my face.
Mhm. I
Mm.
could talk about being by the water.
Mm. I could talk about talking in sounds and movement. Woo, shakaba, shakabada, shakadaba, shoo,
Mhm.
whoa.
Nice. I've been liking these high notes.
I
Jenny, it's on you.
I could talk about the spice cabinet sniff tour that my client turned me on to.
Nice.
Ooh.
I do love lemon pepper. I could talk about the trees and the birds,
Mhm.
watching
Mm.
the
I could talk
branches blow in the
about,
wind.
oh, you're back. I could talk about taking a Monty break and throwing the ball, squeaking it and throwing the ball and
Hmm.
just laughing and laughing because he's ridiculous.
Hmm.
I could talk about reading a poem.
Mm.
Mm. I could talk about setting an alarm so that the segments of work and play are evenly spaced out.
I could talk about running outside and taking pictures of my flowers at different
Mhm.
stages of them blooming.
Been there,
Let's
done
Mhm.
do
that.
one more round.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I could talk about hugging my stuffed torpedo Ben Bear.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, I could talk about random dances with people who are dancing in the shows that I'm watching.
Mm.
They were dancing, we're dancing.
We're
Yes.
dancing now.
Yes.
Dancing. Oh, I love
Uh,
that. Like the mirror neuron. So if somebody
mhm.
is on a show you're dancing, you match them.
Mm,
Yeah, we started.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
I love these
Mhm.
ideas,
Yeah,
y'all.
and just look between 3 of us, right? How many different types of ideas came up?
Yeah.
How many different, sort of angles on them? Like, there were some were sensory, some were a little more cerebral, so a lot of them were body,
Mhm.
were
Mhm.
body centered. Yeah, so beautiful. I love it.
Mm,
I love that. One that I meant to bring up because it came to me when we were talking earlier. What, and I
please.
don't have them because I took them to share with somebody. I have these fun little rainbow notes on my desk. They're the scratch offs that you can scratch and draw. So, like,
Mm,
often when I'm on a Zoom call or in a meeting, I'm drawing at this. Like, I
nice.
am not separating my work and my play. I'm drawing and creating a visual of what is happening. I was a huge doodler as a kid. That's part of my ADD. Like, I'm one of those kids that somebody's like, "Oh, you're not paying attention." And I'm like, "If I'm looking directly at you, I'm not paying attention." If I Cuz my brain's daydreaming. But if
Right.
I'm doing something else, I'm paying attention. It's a
Yeah.
weird. But
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Actually, Do
Go
you
ahead.
mind? Do we have a moment for me to
Yeah.
mention something
A
related
couple
to that?
moments for you, of
So,
course.
okay, so that's what Julia Cameron of The Artist's Way would call a creative
Mhm.
monster, right? Anybody who was kind of like stifling you a bit when you were doing things that you just, that helped you. I had the same thing happen in high school. I would doodle, and one of my teachers was like, "That's not okay," So yeah, it's something good to name that there are, it's not like it's their fault. Like, they've been taught that too most of the time. Some of them unfortunately are on a power trip too, um but yeah, it's something to be aware of, right? Question we do need to question everything, I think, these days. So yeah, if you find your own voices in your head, or
Mhm.
memories that you have, or people who are still right around you saying anything that kind of like feels like the opposite of your joy, it's probably not something that's healthy for you.
Mhm. Very important because, I'm different. If I am doing something else, I'm with you for a second, and
Mhm,
then as soon as I really get into whatever I'm doing, oh,
mhm,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. What'd you just say? And I missed the end of it or wherever you were.
right.
So, um, I know that we talk about standardization. It's kind of
Mhm,
like restaurants cooking for everybody, and people have different uh, preferences for salt and pepper and
oh,
seasoning
yeah.
this right? But this is what we're hearing with a lot of this stuff is it's unique to each person.
Mhm,
Listen to your body, know yourself, and then like you're saying, like the people in your world who might be creative monsters might not be doing it intentionally, right? They might not know, but
mhm,
it's still important for you to hold that for yourself, like, "Hey, this is what I need right now," so
mhm,
that you can keep going and have the resilience to keep up the momentum for everything.
mhm.
Yeah. Can you tell our listeners I'm sorry, Christine, you did have something that you were about to say. Did you wanna
Nope.
add something? You
I
wanted to go
think
to
I
the
was going exactly where you were
Okay.
going. Go for it.
Okay, beautiful. I love it when we're on the same page. So, Jenny, can you tell us more about the quiz? We've been bringing it up, and, if people are loving this conversation and they know they need your help, tell them where to find you, your pages and everything so that we can get you guys connected.
Yeah. So, I'm Jenny Elinora on the socials. Uh, I
Yes.
don't think there's any others of me on the big socials that are out there.
No
So
more Elenoras. That makes it very, unique,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and as far as the quiz goes, that's also a way to get in touch with me, because, you go to the quiz link, and once you complete it, you'll be on my newsletter list, and you'll know about the events and, things that I have going on. So that growyourwholevoice.com, which is at the bottom there, that is a way to get in touch with me. I would say that the quiz would be the first place that I would go, just because it's fun. And I just created it recently, and
Nice.
I created it with my Joy Feather, who is my new
Yeah.
mascot that I'm doing for my Joy Fest next week.
Nice.
So yeah, like, you can learn about Joy Fest, you can learn about all the things in my world, you know, at the same time as you do this quiz, which is called, "Did Creative Burnout
Mhm.
Steal Your Sparkle?" Right? And then it's a very quick quiz. And what it points to is the main area, between clarity, energy, or resilience that you will want to focus on in order to build your creative joy. Okay. And that's what the Joy Fest is going to be helping you do, is to like target one or more of those areas. They all work together, obviously. And yeah, so the quiz is at the end of the quiz, you can register for the event. The quiz is only like 7 real quick questions, and it's an eye opener. Of the people who have been doing it so far have been like, "Wow, I really didn't realize how much I needed, this kind of thing, how much I needed more energy for my joy, or how much I needed more clarity on things." So, yeah, I'm excited
Yes.
to be sharing it. Thanks so much for sharing it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if you're driving, running, doing your dishes, it is going to be in our show notes, y'all. And you can go to womenconnectedandwisdompodcast.com, and the show will be there and the show notes will be there. And so
Yes.
we will make sure to get you connected for sure.
Mhm. So We love to talk about how we help our clients share our stories that, led to where we are. But we also like to, well, let's say, and in addition to that, right, we also like to talk about what we're doing for ourselves this week. So, Jenny, for your intellectual wellness, what are you being intentional about for your wisdom in action?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question.
Occupational wellness.
Occupational wellness,
It's
right?
I try to switch back, Lord.
I get
Or
I'm
both, whatever,
into
whichever
both.
one.
I'm into
My
both,
goodness.
absolutely. So yeah, as
Yeah.
I'm gearing up for this event, right, which is the biggest event I've ever done, I'm going to
Mm,
traveling down to North Carolina from Vermont to a studio to professional level studio to do it, right?
nice.
It's kind of higher stakes than usual for me.
Congratulations.
Than the past so far, I should
What
say.
part of North
Understood.
Carolina?
Durham. And then
All right.
I'll be in Atlanta with my kids, by the way. So
Oh
Ooh.
my
yeah,
gosh.
I
If we're
know.
here at the same time, let's connect. I
Yeah.
would love that.
All right, let's do
Mhm.
it. So I love it when that stuff happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gearing up for this big event and it has all the makings, all the ingredients that are, in my world
Mhm.
prime triggers
Mm,
for insecurity and anxiety and
okay.
all the stuff, right? Like
Okay.
that's what I said before about being the cobbler and the cobbler's kid.
Mhm.
I'm dealing
Yes.
with all these things too, right?
Mhm.
So I am, again, it's beyond practicing what I preach. It's like my systems of doing the microdoses of play, of meditating around. I have some joy meditations as well that
Mm,
I've created,
mm.
audio, mostly audio. Um,
Nice.
doing those things for listening to my own music. I call it casting a spell on myself. I am
Mm,
including all of those things within my daily existence leading up to this big event. And that is balancing out the moments when I feel insecure and the moment, and it's also preventing me, which is one big thing for me personally. It's preventing me from dissociating. I tend to like,
mhm,
just go outside of myself when I'm
mhm,
feeling stressed. And so I'm staying more present. And
mhm,
that, the presence is sometimes to feel through the fear and everything
mhm,
too, but
mhm.
it's going through, it's balancing so much quicker because I'm actually here for it.
Mhm.
It's not sticking around and getting stuck and getting subverted into all these other weird places, like a weed, runner weed that like goes underground and crops up somewhere else, right?
Mm,
So,
mm-mm. My
yeah.
goodness.
Um,
So if you had to put it in a hashtag for an
hashtag.
action, what would you say?
All right. Hashtag I choose joy.
Nice.
That's
Mm,
what I give as a mantra to everybody anyway. So you can everyone
I
can use that.
love it.
Use it.
I
Use it.
choose joy.
And you were consciously choosing it.
Yep.
Proud of you.
Shannon,
Yes.
what you
That's
doing
super
this week?
exciting. Mm. What I wrote down a couple of things earlier. I will say hashtag bring in joy and play. I love it when you said that earlier, Jenny. And I have alarms that go off right now, right? Like I talked about in the so I can think about or so I can talk about or I could talk about game. And one of them is the pendulum swing. 11:30 the alarm goes off, right? Instead of just focused on that time like you were talking about, how about we do something funner, right? And focus on some play. How about it says go outside and play instead of oh, the time is about to switch. Like
Mhm.
that's not as fun.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're going to bring in some more joy and play.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about you, Christine?
I Well, I'm prepping for a big trip that's coming
Yeah.
up in April,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be off the grid. So I'm finding ways to be playful with my husband, and one of them is I've been programming my Alexa to
Mhm.
say different things at different times.
Some mischief in there, I feel.
There is some mischief making. So I'm gonna hashtag mischief making is what
Oh,
is
oh,
gonna be
I
my
agree.
this week because we were laughing about it the other day because I have a thing at my house. I am an early to bed, and my husband, that he is such a creative that's often when he's waking up,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So about the time I'm going down, I'm an early morning creative. He is gearing up. And so this has been this way for 32 years. And we have this thing about right when I'm getting ready to go to sleep, he comes in and that's when he wants to tell me everything. So recently I programmed our Alexa to say, "Excuse me, sir, please do not talk to Christine." And almost to the minute when he's coming in. And I actually programmed it a little early. And then he went in and programmed it to say, I have objections to the fact that you programmed that about 5 minutes early, and I still have time to. It was so it's just really funny using technology to laugh and bring humor and
Yeah.
joy. Because used to I'd get really mad about it, like, and I'm just like, it's a thing, and we're just gonna laugh about it. So yeah, mine's gonna be
That's
hashtag
beautiful.
make some
Mm.
mischief maker
Nice.
this week. Yeah,
Mischief managed. I
Yeah.
understand,
right,
I hear you, yes.
right.
Okay, Jenny, well, this has been a lovely conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for the reminder to keep joy in every day. I love the 3 micro doses of joy a day. I love that.
Mhm.
Is there anything
We
else you would
talk
like to
about them
share?
as incremental steps, and
Yeah.
so I love when you say micro doses of joy. I wanna add
Mhm.
that to mine this week too. I'm gonna hashtag micro doses of joy
Got you.
and, and just keep going with I love that
Yeah,
so
I
much,
love it
Jenny.
too, and I think you were asking me, Shannon, if there's anything I wanted to leave people with, and I just
Yes.
wanna expand for a moment on that microdose thing. A friend of mine who is a retired doctor picked that up and noticed that, we're prescribing it, right?
Mhm.
Like, we could prescribe it to ourselves, these
Yes.
microdoses of joy, and like certain types of medicine,
Mhm.
we need more of it
Mhm.
when we are not healthy.
Mhm.
So 3 is kind of a good minimum,
Nice.
right, for everybody. If you're going through a rough time, why not add a few more?
Mhm.
That's the time that our cultural programming has told us to take it out, to
Mhm.
decrease it, right? Like, you
Mhm.
can't you gotta you if you're having trouble, if you're having some chaos or some conflict, then that's not the time for joy. No, it's more the time for joy at those times. It's time to do more of it. If they need to be even tinier increments, like 7 times a day, but only 30 seconds at a time, that's great. Just
Nice.
yeah, do it more when you're having a rougher time.
Thank you
I
for that.
love that. Just reminds me of spices, sprinkling it in,
Yeah, you need a little bit more if you can't see it. Thank you
right?
so much, Jenny. We're looking forward to staying connected.
Yeah, Jenny, this was delightful. I'll reach out to you behind the scenes about your timing because if I'm in town, I would love to connect with you. It'd be
Me
super
Yeah,
too.
fun.
that'd be
So,
beautiful.
mm, so good.
Mm.
So, I love talking about joy,
Me too. Me
right?
too. I love getting back to it. We talk about um, knowing our environments, knowing our surroundings, and a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's a yes and. But I love how you always share that some of this stuff is too big for one body to hold.
Right.
So we can learn how to
Absolutely.
try to let some of that pressure go off of ourselves that's not ours to hold and figure out what sparks joy for us. Like let's also focus
Right.
on that list. Yeah, and what I love about this conversation really, I've been thinking about. I think it was Kate Arms that gave us the pity party, and she made this.
No,
Was
that
it?
was
Was it
Gwyneth.
somebody else?
That was
Gwyneth.
Gwyneth. It's
Okay.
my friend Gwyneth, yeah, that did the
What's
petty party with art.
what's Gwyneth's last name? Is
Oh
it
my
Paltrow?
gosh. No, that's the
Okay.
famous
Okay, I
actress.
was about to say, sorry, Gwyneth Paltrow. But, I don't be knowing the famous people, I just know our people. But,
They're
so
famous
y'all
too.
right, they are. She made this pill, right? She was having a really difficult time, with the diagnosis and her life and the turn that it makes when medical emergencies happen, and she wanted to take space to acknowledge what was going on, and so she made a pill. I think she made, like, a piñata out of it, and she
Mhm.
had her pity party. I did the same thing.
Gwyneth
What were you
Van
gonna say?
Lauren. I
Thank you.
wanted to give you
Gwyneth
her
Van
last name.
Lauren.
Gwyneth
Thank
Van Lauren.
you. So
Mhm.
good. And so I did it with my best friend when the house got sold after her mom passed away, and it was great. I think it's really an important tool to hold on to when we need it. pairing it with this and also having, micro doses of joy, I think is great and hopefully can minimize our need for the pity parties and things like that and have us more focused on the joy than the frustration. So that's what I was thinking about during our conversation.
I love it. And just
Yeah.
play more, playing
Play
and
more.
being intentional with that. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I know we need to give a shout out to our
Mhm.
listeners and people listening today to episode 222, that the doors are currently open for volume 3 of Women Connected in Wisdom, Stories and Resources Rooted in the 8 Dimensions of Wellness.
Yes.
We are looking for authors and stories and your voices, and those doors will stay open until March 31st,
Yeah.
unless we fill up before then.
And we
And
are filling it.
you can find out more information at womenconnectedinwisdom.com, and we'd love to help uplift your voice.
Yes. Yes, we would. Okay, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation of occupational wellness. We'll be back at 5 live. What did I say? We'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. We'll talk to you soon.